Hello, I'm Crystal Meach with Tao of the Heart, and today I have Debbi-Jo Horton. And I'm going to start by saying that she is an accountant. Well, she kind of took a break there, but now she's back. And I was an accountant for 18 years. We met on Alignable. And Debbie has a podcast. She has another business. And I want to know all about how did you get started? And yeah, let's learn a little bit more about you. I mean, I found you on Alignable.
Yeah.
Let's dive in.
Awesome. I love diving right in. Thank you so much, Crystal, for having me. I have been an entrepreneur all of my life. Seriously, my mother said that when I was 2 years old, I sold painted rocks by the road well before pet rocks were a thing. And I actually remember the biggest sale I had was this guy who bought all my rocks. I have no idea how many I had, probably not a whole lot. Bought them all and gave me a $20 bill. And I was so excited. And I think that
Wow.
fueled my desire to always be in charge of my life.
That's pretty awesome that you could sell rocks.
I know, with a little bit of paint on it, like to just make your garden nice and pretty.
Yeah, you sound like quite the saleswoman.
I never looked at it that way. To me, sales is all about sharing your knowledge, sharing your passion, because I don't care how slick your presentation might be. People do business with people they know, like, and trust, unless you have the thing, the one and only thing that someone needs, and they don't know of anybody else they can get it from. Then they're going to do business with you, even if you're the worst person in the world, if they really need what you want. But I prefer to really just connect with people, find out what makes them tick. And then if I have a solution, fantastic. If I don't, I am going to help you as much as I possibly can to find the solution that you're looking for, even if it's not me. So
Yeah.
that's where I got started. I don't think you really wanted me to go back quite that far.
No, I love
But
it. I don't know anyone that's sold rocks before, so that's a pretty great start. I'm just saying.
I thought so. And I was very lucky in that. So my dad worked in a family business for his father, and then he ended up buying out the business, and I ended up working with them, I think, right before that sale went through. And I was still in high school. So I learned all about water pumps and filtration, and I did all of the bookkeeping. And then I found an error on the corporate tax return. And because it just, don't know what this says about me, but tax law just made sense to me. So here at the age of 16, I was not only doing corporate taxes, payroll taxes, because back then everything was done by paper, and like all the family members' tax returns as well.
Wow.
So it just kind of like made sense for me. And so I went to college and got my degree in that. But at the same time, I think being that true entrepreneurial spirit, I also owned in addition to being a partner in the water pump and filtration system company, I also owned a craft shop where you could buy like all the materials to make your own crafts, but also sold some of the finished products. Did that, went to school, got married, had a child, got divorced, finished my degree,
Whoa.
and then decided that I needed to kind of try this working for somebody else thing. And so I went to work for a law firm doing bookkeeping for them, and then ended up doing tax returns with one of the partners. And then he said, you know what, your talents are being wasted here. I think you need to go interview for a tax position in one of the back then big eight accounting firms. So I did a stint at Ernst and Winnie when it was Ernst and Winnie, and then with the encouragement of some of the managers there as well as some of my clients, went out on my own. and had some pretty significant clients. So my forte was high net worth individuals and international accounting. So I did tax work for expatriates living and working abroad, helped them to file all of their US tax returns. So I had literally clients all over the place. So I am a gal of initiative. So I taught my clients how to do work remotely before that was a thing, before the pandemic, before all of that. I was on Skype, and uh, I forget, there was something before Dropbox. I forgot what that was, but being able to transfer files securely, works with the IRS to allow for files to be kept electronically and not have to have all the papers. Um, Served as the tax chair for the White House Conference on Small Business in 1990, like blah, 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 all the accounting things. And then I went, I am burnt out. Like, I don't know that I am doing my best. I had moved out to a small island. I live in Rhode Island. So I moved out to a small island off the coast of Rhode Island. And I lived there for 7 years, but 7 months of the year, or 6.5 months of the year, and then 3.5 months in Costa Rica. So I did tax time during the time I was in Costa Rica. So again, all virtual. But then I had this girlfriend share with me a bottle of night cream, and I don't wear makeup. I didn't use skincare. Like, I washed my face with water. I hate to even admit that now. And she got me by saying, I need you to use this for a week and give me your brutally honest opinion. And I went, I can do that. Thinking there's no way in a week that anything's going to work. And oh, it was one of those companies. And so,
An
she,
MLM?
yes, a network marketing company. But she was really smart. And I later found out that it was the way that they train is she made me take a before picture, like up close of my full front of my face and then both sides of my face. And then she texted me every single night for a week, reminding me to put it on. And again, I said, I never wore makeup or anything. So, like, I didn't tell her I only washed my face with water, but it was one step. Like, she said, like, where's the rest of it? Because I was used to her giving me like tons and tons of products that had like 15 to 20 different steps. And I was like, I cannot do this. I don't have the time for this. It would not be unusual for me to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning on Skype with a client. So, like, I am not getting up an hour earlier to put my face on. So, like what you see is what you get. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was like that serious. And but she was really good at making sure that she texts me right about the time she knows I should be getting ready for bed to remind me to put it on. And and I remember the first time she sent me the text. She was like, "Do you have your Neora on?" And I went, "My what? What is she talking about?" And I was like, "Oh, where's that bottle?" I ran into the bathroom, threw some water on my face, put the cream on, got back in bed, and text her back, "Of course I do." And that was not the end of it. Like I said, every single night she would send me that message, and then after the seventh night, she sends me a message the next morning. Send me your after pictures. I'm like, girlfriend, you are crazy. There is no difference. And she said, at the end of the summer when the kids were getting ready for school, you couldn't imagine how much the kids had grown until they put their pants on and realized they were 6 inches too short. She's like, it's the same thing with skincare. Unless it's a drastic improvement overnight, you're not going to notice because you look at your face in the mirror every single day. So take the darn picture and send it to me. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I took the picture, I sent it to her, and not even 10 minutes later, she sent them back to me side by side, and all the crow's feet were gone. Not diminished, but gone. And I went, oh, she doctored the pictures. I knew it. And I go back to my camera and I look and I was like, oh my God, those are really my pictures. That's crazy. So my answer to her was, well, you clearly have a customer, but don't ever ask me to join the business. Don't ever ask me to do a party. I don't, they're like, that's not my thing. I don't even live in the same country, you know, a part of the year. So that was that. I became her customer. 6 months later, I did her tax return and I got her 1099 and I went, what is going on? Like she made what most people make working for an entire year full time, working 10 to 15 hours a week in a little more than 3 months. And I went, this is going to be illegal. Like, how is this even possible? So I called her about it, and she actually thought that it should be higher because they had this program where you could earn free products. And she was like, I swear I earned more bottles than that. And I was like, wait. You think this should be higher? And she said, yes. And she was like, why? I was like, well, I think it, like, I'm looking, just forget the rest of the stuff. And oh, by the way, how on earth, like, why are they putting a dollar amount in here for a trip? Like, she was like, oh, I earned that. I earned a cruise and I earned a Lexus bonus and I earned an iPad and I earned all these other things. And I was like, okay, forget all those, though I could not. And I just need to know the dollars, like how much did they actually pay you? And she was like, oh, that's on line such and such. Do you need to see my bank statements? And I went, yes, I do. And it tied into the penny. And I was like, all right, girl, think about this. If I am going to continue with this product, and at the time, all that I had was just the one product. If I'm going to continue with this, why wouldn't I want to make it tax deductible just by sharing that bottle with a friend? Okay. So I joined her business. And you never know what is going to happen in life, right? So about 3 years later, my significant other wasn't feeling well, couldn't figure out what was going on. Nobody could, everybody was like, well, as you get older, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You don't act like, you know, you're 60 and then 120 overnight. Like there's something wrong with this man. He's never even had a headache. And now he's complaining about headaches. He never even gets a cold. And when he does, it's very rare. He never complains. Like this man is complaining. There is something drastically wrong. Well, it turned out he had terminal cancer.
Mm.
You cannot sit in a doctor's waiting room or a hospital or a treatment facility and work on someone's taxes. You can't bring the financial information into a public place. But Crystal, if you were sitting there next to me week after week, I could say, hey, Crystal, would you take a look at this video and give me some feedback on it? Would you like to try a product? Bring it back next week and just let's talk about what you experienced. That started growing. And I had someone that was supposed to be helping me with my tax practice who helped himself to 2/3 of my practice while I was taking care of my husband who passed away the following. He was diagnosed in July. He passed away in March of the following year. In the meantime, I also had a child who was an adult, but still my child. And he was diagnosed with a very serious illness as well. So let me tell you, you
Wow.
really find out a lot about yourself when you are focused on those things and trying to make decisions in the moment that are right in the moment, but also aren't going to affect your life so badly in the future when things are doing better. Um, and it really kind of like makes you stop and think, what is going on. And as I said, that one person took 2/3 of my accounting practice. And at first I was really angry with him, but then I
Mhm.
realized, well, the clients left. Like he didn't put a gun to their head and say, you have to come with me.
Yeah.
So it started to really make me think. I mean, like these clients, many of them had been my clients for 15 or 20 years. So The thing that really stood out to me the most, however, is that on the days when we would have to leave the island for an appointment, I would get a phone call at 5 o'clock in the morning from a variety of different people wanting to know how they could help me that day. These people were connected to me through my Neora business, but most of them did not have any financial reward for helping me at all. I was not connected to them. They were not going to earn a dime off of me ever. And it wasn't until probably close to 2 years later, after my husband had passed away, and I was telling somebody about the culture of Neora, that I suddenly, and I still to this day, get really emotional.
Oh.
Most of them lived in California. I'm in Rhode Island. That means they set their alarm to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning to call me to see how they can make my life easier. Where else do you find something like that? That's the kind of culture that sticks and stays in Neora. So when I had to make the decision, because I couldn't get my life back on track and my finances back on track and rebuild my accounting business and continue to build my Neora business and help my child, I decided that Neora was really the future that I wanted. Whether it be part-time, full-time, to me, um, it really spoke so many volumes of, any business, whether it's a Neora business or an accounting business, or if it's your business. Here's the thing. You don't necessarily have to be passionate about what it is that you're doing in that business day after day. You better like it if you're going to be doing it day after day. But it needs
Mhm.
to fuel what it is that you're passionate about. So, like, how sometimes people go like, I can never be passionate about skincare. Like, trust me, I can't get passionate about numbers. And I'm not like, I'm passionate about the changes I see in people, right? To me, my mission in life is help make people better. And there are those, I like to call them God winks, that happen in life. I've known for probably for 40 years or more that my mission in life was to help make people better. And in my accounting practice, I really thought that I did that, helping them to understand their finances. And when my girlfriend started telling me about this business, and she kept saying, "Oh, one of the co-founders is Jeff Olson," and I'm thinking, Jeff Olson, how do I know that name? I've been big into personal development for decades. I had a copy of his book, The Slight Edge, before it was published. Someone gave it to me because oh yeah, I took another little diversion, and I owned an international leadership and management development company at one point too, putting on international leadership retreats. But very big into personal development. I had a copy of his book. I used to watch The People's Network on TV, which he was a co-founder of. And it was just one of those things where I knew the name. I couldn't remember why until I walked by my bookshelf and saw that copy of The Slight Edge. And I went, okay, I have read this at the beginning of every single year since it was given to me, some years every single quarter. Like, I need to be doing this because clearly I want to be around people who are successful. Then I dive a little bit deeper, and Neora was built on 3 simple words: make people better. God wink or what? I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm in.
Aw, that's so sweet. You made me cry.
In a
What
good
an
way, I
amazing
hope, in a good way.
story. Yes, yes, touched my heart. I mean, what you've gone through, and then just, it seems like it's always at the right time that, it hits you. And I can definitely say that in my own story. Like, as everything falls apart, it's like, there's that God wink, as you say.
Yes. Well, sometimes things have to fall apart or fall off, fall away, so that you have room to grow. And that was one of the reasons why I decided to, even though I had all this other stuff going on, I think there's a little trend happening there. I don't know that I'm ever capable of just doing one thing at once. Um, I kept having people say, you need to do a podcast. And I'm like, well, I personally don't need to do a podcast. I don't know why you think I do. And they said, because you have such a positive mindset and you have such a great story to be telling. And I said, but if I'm going to do a podcast, it can't be about me. It has to be about others. And I love my mother dearly. If she's hearing this, I love you, I love you, I love you. But you are one of the more negative people that I know. You always look at the things that could go wrong. And my mother has been old all of my life, and she's not old at all. But it was always the, oh, wait until you hit your 30s and this is going to start happening negative. In your 40s, you can expect this to start falling apart and your health is going to start to, decrease. And I'm like, stop, 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 stop. No, that doesn't have to happen. Like, you have a choice, right? In every single moment, you have a choice. You don't always have a choice on what's going to happen to you, but you always have a choice on how you're going to react to it. Always. Happiness is a choice that you make not only every day, but in every moment of every day. And that was something that thankfully I taught my significant other prior to him getting his diagnosis. And, you know, after the fact, you always can look back and go like, oh, that's what was going on. Because all of a sudden he got very, very negative, and he wasn't a negative person. But I took a challenge. I read the book by Sean Aker about happiness. And there was this challenge to 21 days at the end of every day. Share with someone you love 3 things that you're grateful for. So we were in Costa Rica, and I said, I'm going to do this challenge. I want you to do the challenge with me. And he kind of grumbled. And I said, no, 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 seriously. Something has to happen. Otherwise, I don't know that I can stay here for another 2.5 months with you being so negative all the time and actually get my tax work done. I said, so at the end of every single day, before we turn the lights out, you have to tell me 3 things you're grateful for, but you can't negate them by saying like, well, I'm grateful that the sun shone today, but I wasn't really, you can't say but, like, then you have to give me 2 more to replace that. And it took a long time the first few nights, but finally we got to the point where like I would tell him my 3, he would tell me his 3, then we turn the lights off. And on day 22, I turn off the light, he turns it right back on and said, where is your gratitude? Like, just because it's day 22, we don't have to stop this. So it really made an impact. And the last time that we were at the hospital for tests, he had to have x-rays of his chest, and we were kind of expecting the not so good news. And as we were sitting there in this little alcove waiting for the report to come back, this woman who looked like she was maybe in her 40s gets wheeled by on a gurney, strapped down, and she was in agony, screaming because she was in so much pain. And he just very gently took my hand and said, there, but for the grace of God go I. I have lived a good long life. And if the news comes back what we think it probably will, I'm okay with that. And I need you to be okay with that. And I thought, oh, Crystal, stop the crying. You're going to make me cry again. but it was made such a huge impact. And I realized in that moment that we have a choice in everything, everything. And we can choose to see something good in it. We can choose to build off of it. We can choose to not let us drag us down, knock us out. Just get back up. Get back up. Until that
Mhm.
day when you're 6 foot under, you're getting older. So there are so many advantages to getting older, which is why I decided to name my podcast Advantages to Aging. And it
Oh,
isn't about me, it's about all of those people who have something to offer in helping us to think more positively about what our choices are.
oh, for sure. I mean, there's just so much that resonates in your story, and I'm just thinking of when my brother-in-law he died of colon cancer maybe 10 years ago, and yeah, to be in the hospital and to watch your loved one, and then the transformation that happens, like in your life, where you realize you have moments, every
Yep.
moment to create, and the choice in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And to me it was always about having those special moments, creating those special moments, because material things can disappear in a blink of an eye. Unfortunately, life can too, but you always have those memories, right? Of all the things that you did together, the things that were said that maybe even, in the moment of it happening, you didn't appreciate what was so meaningful about that, or what was so beautiful about that, or what was so hard about that, until they're not there anymore. And then you can think back and go, wow, we experienced that together. We did that together. And it's just, it can be beautiful, even in the moments of being super hard.
That, and the grateful, to be
Yeah.
grateful, to wake up every day grateful.
Yep. I now have changed my ending the day with three gratitudes to beginning the day with three gratitudes. And I've found that to make such a huge difference. And sometimes I'm grateful for things that happened the day before. Sometimes it's just being able to sit there, and we're getting snow in the Northeast today, which we've had mostly rain. So this morning I sat there with my hot cup of coffee and my gratitude journal, and some people will like keep journaling for hours and hours, and I'm one of those people who are like, I don't have time for that. Like, I want to be I want to be grateful, but I want to move on. So I write three things that I'm grateful for each day. And there are days that things happen and I don't do it, but I track each day that I actually do it. And today was day 1118, which
Wow.
is kind of like, wow, that's a few years.
Yeah, and just think of the mindset shift.
Yeah.
I mean, just every day you're walking in gratitude, and you wouldn't want it any other way, would you?
No, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Sometimes,
Oh
that
my god.
icebreaker question. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm crying so much. Sometimes they use the icebreaker question. If there was one thing that you could change in your life, what would it be? And, there are many things that are not good in my life or have happened that weren't good in my life, but I would not change anything because it wouldn't make me the person I am today. Any change at all, I could be a completely different person. And I
And
and I like me.
yes, you love you,
I do love me.
and you emanate love. Like, you are love. Like, I mean, that's the whole point of my podcast. I mean, everyone understanding their heart, and it's so easy to lose that.
Yes. Yeah.
And coming back to it, I mean, that's kind of the whole purpose of life.
I think so. I truly think so. Um, I did find that losing Justin was probably hit me harder than I ever thought it would. And then I had this woman that I never even knew. And it was just something that hit me. I don't know whether it was a scent or a sound or whatever. And I just lost it. Now he's been gone for almost 8 years. And this was probably the beginning of last year. This happened. And this older woman took my arm and she was like, honey, in order to feel the depth of despair and grief that you're feeling, you had to have loved deeper than most people will ever imagine. And I went, how beautiful is that? How beautiful. She said, a lot of people don't want to feel grief. She was like, grief is just a measurement of love. And
Hmm.
the deeper you love, the harder grief is going to hit you, but it's still a reflection of that love. Celebrate it. And I went, wow. And
Yeah.
I talked with her a little bit, and she was in her late 80s. She was like 88 or 89. Um, and she said that she had lost her husband of 70 years the year before. And she said, and every morning and every night, I have a conversation with him. And I know he hears me, and I know what his words would be because I can feel them in my heart. And I thought, talk about living in gratitude. Yikes, we could learn so much from that woman. So from that
Yeah.
point forward, I was like, okay, I think I need to relook at everything through a slightly different lens.
Yeah. And the joy that comes from grief is
Yeah, yeah.
amazing too.
Which sounds strange. It sounds like it's an
Yeah.
oxymoron, but it's not.
Yeah. Exactly. And those people, that you lose, you carry them with you every day in
Yeah,
your heart. They still
yeah,
live through you.
yeah. I don't know who it was that said that you're never truly dead until the last story's been told about you. But boy, do I take that to heart.
Wow. This has been just a fascinating podcast. Like, I wasn't expecting this. And that's what I
I
love
wasn't
about
sure what I was going to talk about either.
yeah. um, just amazing. And I just love the name of your podcast. Just everything that you've shared today. I would love to have you on again and
I'd be honored to.
explore, and people need to hear these stories of hope. And I truly, my heart goes out to you, like that you stand up in your power and you live from your heart.
Yeah, too many people let a hurt like that, whether it's death or um, someone just leaving or infidelity or whatever it
Yeah.
happens to be, you're only a victim when you allow it to happen.
Yes. Yes. And being a victim is a choice,
Yeah,
and understanding how you create from that choice.
right. As I said, sometimes you don't have control over what happens to you or through you, but you always have a choice on how you're going to react to it and what you're going to do with that lesson. I mean, some lessons, it takes something hard in order to learn them because otherwise we just keep making the same mistakes. But, if you can look at anything and everything that happens to you and find a grain of truth, a grain of something to be grateful for, you're going to have a better life because of it.
Oh, for sure. Oh, thank you so much for coming on my podcast, and I'll put all of your information on this in the description box below, so that everyone watching can list. They can contact you. And yeah, I would again love to have you on again. And thank you. Thank you
I would
for,
love to. Well, thank you so much for having me on. It's been an honor.
yeah. All right. Bye for now from Tao of the Heart.